Good afternoon, Vigo's Court. How are we doing today, guys? I am your judge, Judge Shep. I am joined today by Counselor Q because I remember what that word is today.
What it do? What it do? How are you feeling today?
I am feeling pretty friggin' good. Q, how are you feeling?
I am feeling good. I'm nervous. I want to see how my system holds up over stream here, but I'm excited to get to three
That's
exciting
nervous.
matchups here. As far as for today, we got three bangers to start off our weekend on this beautiful Friday. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we do absolutely have three bangers, and we are going to start today with Entity versus Monarchy. And I'm really excited to see these two teams play against one another. Monarchy is actually one of our undefeated teams, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Monarchy is one of our undefeated teams, and actually, the two teams that are playing to get today between Monarchy and Entity, they've shared two opponents. And where Monarchy has beaten them both, Entity has beaten them both. So where Monarchy has beaten them both, Entity has lost to those two teams. So gonna be seeing Entity try and really kind of turn the season around. This would be a good turning point. They're in the same conference. Get that knockoff of the number one team as far as in your division would be kind of a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a big turning point for Entity. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach today's game in terms of what they play, especially on the killer side. As we all know, the killer side can be a little bit of a sore subject depending on the team you're talking to. So everyone's going to deal with certain challenges differently. And if we've seen anything, it's that some of our top seeded teams, it's hard to bring S tiers out against them because they practice against S tiers. So it's going to be interesting to see how Entity responds to Monarchy.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, one, just with this week, I know we've allowed McMillan to be allowed back into play. But even when we talk about this matchup here, we're actually talking about a map that our team should be pretty familiar with as far as competitive play, right?
Absolutely. The map we are going to today is a fairly common map. So let's talk about it, you guys. Today, we are going to Azarov's Resting Place, one of our Autohaven Records maps. Not a super large map. It has a 7-hook minimum and a 12-hook maximum. We saw Entity play on this map last week. It is one of our dog bone maps, so those eye-shaped maps. So there's a lot of potential for zoning. The survivors can put themselves in a really dangerous position if they are not careful with how they do their generators as well.
Yeah, going to this one's interesting because I feel like Azarov's is one of those maps where it tends to give you a lot of symmetry for the most part. Generally you have 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom as far as your gen spread. That one in the middle can kind of slide between those 3 tiles almost that are there. You talked about that little bottleneck area, right? But otherwise you pretty well, again, for the most part, you're usually talking about 3 top side, 3 bottom side. I think that at least gives you some nice symmetry and some balance in the map itself.
Yeah, I have seen some weird generations of that map, but for the most part, it is usually fairly even. You sometimes even get a little hill in there for all you balanced landing users. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what the teams have to play on today. Because this map again can be really, really tricky, or it can be really kind and even. Oh, I'm freeze framing again. Love that for me.
Yeah, it's only when I
There
click
we go.
into my game. So when we are not in game and we're just out of it, as long as I am out here, then we'll just kind of make sure we're not clicking in. So some patience from you guys. We do apologize. Unfortunately, I've been having some internet issues too. So we're gonna try and keep the show moving as smooth as possible for you guys though. But what you talked about on this map and how both of our teams, you have a lot of killer options still available. What kind of killer picks do you anticipate seeing from both Monarchy as well as Entity here?
So for killer choices, this map, I mean, it's pretty even. It's not too terribly large. You have a lot of options, I feel like, coming into this map in particular. But But I mean, anyone with good zoning capabilities, mobility is always really nice. I don't know. Who do you want to see?
Who do
And
I
who do
want
you
to
think we'll
see?
see? Yeah, who do you want to see on this map? And who do you think we'll see?
Well, I feel like I've talked about her a lot. It's because I've loved watching her competitively since she got up her buff. But I think Plague can be relatively decent on this map. We've seen some decent play on ARP. However, I feel like on this map too, it's one of those where like I would like to see. So I don't know, man. I feel like I want to see like a lot, right? Like I would love to see a Huntress kind of pop off. I would love to see a Billy pop off on this map too. That way you can pressure both, go from, a hook on the bottom side of the map to pressuring a on the top side. But I don't know. For me, I feel like Vami Mami gives you a lot of options on this map.
I think so as well. I think Plague has shown that she is a good pick in comp. She's been fairly strong, especially with the way some of our players have been utilizing her and her reworked add-ons. So I think Plague is a good option. She can put down a lot of pressure, infect gens on one side, go patrol the other. She'll see if someone healthy or unsickened touches one of those infected generators. So I think that's actually a really, really good option for this map. And I actually enjoy watching Plague.
The only thing that I will say is I was looking at the pick list real quick, and if we were to see it from Monarchy, that would be expiring Monarchy or that would be using up both Plague choices for them for the season. So maybe we see Entity come out, but I don't think you remove a killer like Plague this early in the season, just because she is very strong and she can be rather versatile like a lot of maps too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think excuse me, we aren't quite to our halfway point in the season yet. So you don't want to start burning some of those better killers just yet, unless you're very confident that this is a match to do that in. And that you're not going to need that killer later. But I do want to remind you guys about something that we rolled out yesterday. We now have a suggestion box. So if you check at the bottom of our Twitch page, you guys can, if you have any questions over the course of the map that you want to ask to one of the players or one of the teams, feel free to drop your questions in the suggestion box below. And depending on who we get to pull in here for an interview, you might get to hear your question answered on stream.
Ooh, that's exciting. I'm down.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I had heard about it yesterday. I forgot that we had that. I like that. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I got reminded by a little birdie, but yeah, definitely. We want to know what you guys want to know. So definitely feel free to go down below, check out that suggestion box and let us know what you want to ask our teams.
So I'm gonna be interested here. I think the big thing is, since we are on Entity's home, Entity comes out, of course, they start on the survivor side. And knowing that Entity really wants to get off on the right foot, I'm gonna be interested to see how these first couple of chases go for Entity. How cautious are they playing it? Are they bringing in extra people, rotating people over to take hits to prolong the first chase? Because if they can bring this score close going into the back-to-back killer sets, you can kind of build your confidence for Trial 4 that way, right?
Absolutely. These first couple games are always, I feel like, the hardest because they set the pace for how the rest of your match is going to go. And these are kind of the two where you decide, all right, are we going to be playing catch up the entire time?
Right.
Or is this where we take hold of the lead and just have to fight to keep it from there? So definitely this is always the interesting point of the game. It's how are we playing today? What are we doing? What are our conditions to win this thing? And you can usually tell by the first by the midway point of the stats. But it does look like we might get an answer to some of our questions because I think both our teams are ready.
All right, perfect, perfect. First off, before I go in the spectator role, can we admire this for a second? The thirst trap, Felix. All right, that's enough. We'll go ahead and switch on over into spectator,
We
and
finally got shirtless Felix. Thanks, behavior. Pretty good job. A
that
plus.
was an instant cop for me. I had seen when they had leaked about I don't remember what they actually call it, the pajama line. It was just what I've been calling it. But when I saw Felix, I was like, oh yeah, because Felix is one of my P350s with all the perks. Like that's an instant cop for sure.
Yeah, definitely important. I need to get the Fang one. Some Fang.
I am
Nice name.
trying to go through the event so I can get the Jonah sweatshirt because it looks really good.
Oh, I do like the Jonah sweatshirt. Yeah.
All right, we've
I
got
haven't even
all
been
of
able to
our
play the event.
offerings and our coin here. While we're loading in, let's talk about how Monarchy is going to be able to put these points up on the killer side.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it, you guys. Okay, so Monarchy's conditions to get points here. Of course, those hooks are important. The third hook is worth 3 points. Progressions, however, are worth 1 less. So you want to get all of those hook points. The 7th and 8th progression, however, are worth 1 point each. So you don't like lose anything there. The 4K is worth an extra 2 points. So if you can make us watch that in 4K and get that, you're gonna get some bonus points for it. We have specific rules for what happens when you have an entity kill or a Mori. However, bleed outs are going to be worth 0 points. There are 30 points available for our killer here to earn. For more on rules, go ahead and type !rules in the chat.
Ooh, but I am excited for this one here. And I was worried that the transition was going to do that. It's fine. It wasn't too bad. But we've got a Bubba boy coming out here. Lonely Moth coming out with a Bubba. I'm really liking the pick. We are, of course, going to see that corrupt intervention going to be into play. Notice while we were looking around, though, we had kind of talked about how on this map, typically we see a rather balanced kind of map side, but we're actually seeing on the bottom side on Shaq, we do have more of that kind of 4-gen situation. Ooh, gets done,
And
stupid!
nice patience on Claudette. However, gonna be interesting to see what happens as our survivors run out of resources.
Yeah, because of course, you know, Bubba does have that ability to get rid of those resources a lot quicker than some of your other typical killers, right? Also, because of the threat of the chainsaw being able to be an instant down, does also typically make a lot of your survivors play loops a little bit more safe, pre-throwing those pallets, even more than we are kind of apt to seeing even in the competitive scene. But now you've got the ability to, it's kind of basically like we just saw, right? You just do an instant break, and now we're already removing a lot of pallets. And Megan here is got to make a decision. At what point do I take it down and maybe save a resource?
Although nice on her here to be able to not lose that pallet immediately and buy some more time for her teammates to work on generators. She's doing a pretty good job of staying on her feet. But again, hopefully her team is working hard because these resources are going really fast. And we actually see a transfer in chase to not 1, but 2 different survivors.
Yeah, and this is kind of insane because you have to imagine that the fact that we're almost out of corrupt intervention at this point, and we have yet to see a gen pop, has to mean that our survivors right now from Entity have to be doing a very good job of spreading that pressure. Even as we had came to put pressure onto Drew over here in this corner of the map, we had seen that this generator has a lot of progress on it. And the longer that even this particular chase goes, it does mean we're getting closer to some of those other gens popping before Lonely Moth can even get across the way and check on those generators itself. Taking the chase with Claudette around our bigger tile here, and actually Claudette doing a very good job of prolonging this chase.
Absolutely. All the survivors for Entity doing a good job of keeping Bubba busy. However, we will see our first down here with a generator not quite complete.
Yeah, this is where things get kind of interesting. I was going to say, because you know, since there's no corrupt intervention, that there has to have, trying to wait and see if you can get a play. And I actually really like the patience there from A's by making sure that you don't pre-drop the pallet too early, because now that's still up later if you need it. But what I was going to say was, you knew that the corrupt intervention is up from looking around. And so that means that there's 120 seconds that's been expired. And of course, it only takes 80 seconds to complete a gen. So kind of interesting to see that we've only had 1 gen complete. Of course, we are also seeing that deadlock value coming out here now at this point. But can't help but hope for our survivors' sake that we have a couple other generators across the map getting pretty close to popping. Ooh.
Nice, nice window play by Meg, and uh, it was in fact a good distraction for them to go ahead and get their teammate off of that hook. However, this is a dangerous place to be because you got a bub and a chainsaw and a basement.
Yeah, and we do see actually Lonely Moth here is going to step through the window. Now there is going to be that bamboozled value, which makes it a very easy decision for Ace to come this way. Nice vacuum there. Plus 10 wood to the face applied to Lonely Moth. Able to extend the chase even longer. Kind of interesting to see Lonely Moth break the pallet there on that side. I kind of thought you would have been able to zone him by going the opposite way here, but you can see actually going to be able to secure the down in this corner of the map anyways.
Oof, a really nice backwards walk with the chainsaw. You know, I really don't see a lot of us do that. I usually see a lot of them just like shift W forward when they're using the chainsaw. So it's interesting to see how Lonely Moth here kind of manipulates the chainsaw around by being very confident in walking backwards.
Yeah, and we are going to see here again that deadlock value coming out, and it is worth noticing we passed that generator that had the deadlock on it, and you could hear that thing. That thing was knocking like a Ford the middle of December. That thing's just about ready to pop. So as soon as it gets uncovered, if there's anybody by, that thing's going to be ready to go. Now taking chase with the Nia on this side of the map, actually on the far side away from the map completely here. And this is going to be a side of the map here where if Nia is playing her cards right, keep in mind we have not taken chase over on this side of ARP at all, which does mean that we have a lot of pallets that can be thrown. Yeah, I thought she was actually going to get got there, but there's not too much around. Oh, we're actually made to another pallet here, though, and now if Nia can keep things busy, our survivors can work on that generator crossway that's just about ready to pop and get a reset.
However, I will point out that that issue we see for survivors is kind of coming up over here. Do you see where all of our gens are?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now they need to be. I think at this point, right, where you got a couple of hooks, I don't think you worry too much as far as playing into a 3-gen. I mean, we see. Oh, I am sure that looks very, very nice through the window. Nice little pokos there from Lonely Moss onto Kenzo. And I believe that should be Kenzo's second hook, right?
Is it? I thought it was
Or is that the last fresh hook?
I think this is the last.
Nice.
Have we seen the Megan good hook?
You know, that's a good question. This was easier when you were scorekeeping, you know? No.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you're scorekeeper. It's very easy to check who's been hooked and whatnot. But I do think we have only one more fresh hook, if any, left on the table.
Yeah, I mean, Lonely Moth has definitely done a very good job of spreading that pressure thus far. And, you know, worth noting, you talked about the 3-gen that's still located here on the top side of the map here. And it's interesting because the 4-gen was on the bottom side of the map to begin with. And that's where it seems like our survivors focused a lot of their pressure. But, you know, worth noting, there goes Leotrill down. And yeah, I do believe this will actually be the last fresh hook here at this point on the Megan. Looking at the bleed out timer there, I believe this will be her fresh hook. And now you're actually going to see Lonely Moth just bringing the survivor on back and going to be recycling this hook. This is a really strong hook, of course, because this is the furthest back into the map that you can get. And it is right next to a generator. It's got a lot of progress as well. You're going to get a dry kick onto it, but no pop goes the weasel, so not too far from that thing being ready to go too.
Yeah, however, this is a good place to hook someone again because it is very close to actually, it's not very far from all of your generators in this back area. So you can kind of do a really easy patrol. We will find multiple survivors here. I think they are realizing that this is where they have a pretty nasty, well, not nasty, it's pretty loose 3-gen, honestly, but you never want to be stuck to one side of the map with a Baba. Ooh, and a nice chainsaw sweep.
Yeah, here's though where I can't help but wonder if maybe you make the decision, if you're the survivors, to just go across and finish because we know we walked by that gen on the far side of the map at one point, and it was pretty far progressed. The last thing you would want is get caught into like a weird snowball and at least not have the 4th generator complete, right?
Yeah, and we are seeing Team Entity in a rather sticky situation here. They've got 2 survivors on hook, and we can see one kind of running around that middle area. So what is going on for our team here?
Yeah, and there indeed is actually going to be kind of like I was talking about there. It looks like we did actually see our survivors retreat back. And I think that was actually going to be the Ace that had done that. Yeah, I was going to say because the Nia was here relatively close not too long ago. Now we are going to have the ace moving in, which should make Lonely Moth have to decide which of the hooks they're going to defend. But both of them are on struggle hook, so if either of them get taken off of the hook here, they are able to be removed from the trial with just a simple M1.
Yeah, especially if if whoever unhooks them doesn't have borrowed time. Or I mean, we've seen before, borrowed time doesn't really mean anything against the Bubba who knows what they're doing. So if Moth can get a very clean sweep and hit them twice and chew through that borrowed time, yeah, it's going to be really tough to save here. And it looks like we are going to let our two survivors progress to their death, which again, not a bad idea since you do gain less points for progression.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're at least taking those points away from the killer here as well, instead of letting them get an easy, easy extra point. You take the point away with the progression here. Maybe now it looks like possibly trying to force the 50-50 here. Kenzo, of course, is the survivor that I believe has the 2 health states left, whereas the ace has only 1. So if you are Lonely Moth here, Kenzo is the preferred survivor for you, and I'm kind of surprised to see Lonely Moth breaking the chase. However, keep in mind the direction that Kenzo's going, there's no objective or anything over there. Whereas the side of the map where we have now tracked down Tom, there are 3 generators and we only need 1 more done to be able to start powering the exit gates.
Yeah, I was going to say a good attempt by Kenzo to pull Bubba away from the area where all of their gens are now located. But Bubba, Moth, not quite falling for it, saying, I'm going to go back. Thank you, though.
Yeah, and at this point, a lot of the resources over on this side of the map have been removed. Not all of them. Obviously, we just saw the one pallet over by this little jungle area, not a complete jungle gym itself. But after that one pallet gets removed, I believe for the most part, everything is pretty well gone, including even in the middle as well. Now going to the TNL here with Tom. Tom doing the double back there. I really like that play. Should be able to get back to the corner of the map. Might be able to buy Kenzo just enough time to finish one of the gens. I think it was actually the gen on the far side of the map from this point that I think it was actually the one that Ace was working on. So I'm not sure if that's the one Kenzo was able to rotate to, but we are going to see the down here by Moth in the corner, and there is going to be generator number 5 getting popped. Here is going to be the interesting thing. I do not think we have seen a unbreakable play here, which could then allow for our survivors to 50-50 if that's the case.
Yeah, this could be a pretty precarious position for our Bubba, but we do find our last survivor. So, please get out the window. No!
That's tough. That is going to be a down there, and as long as you don't have a unbreakable, I feel like if we had an unbreakable, we probably would have seen it across the way now. So as long as we can secure our slugs, that's going to be a 4K. Really strong way to start off this game here for Monarchy.
Yeah, Moth bringing our survivor. Oh, I guess not bringing our survivor. I was going to say hooking our survivor close to where our other slug is. However, realizing that that is not probably a good hook to be going to, as it is the only one over in that corner, considering our one behind the building has actually already been consumed by a death.
Yeah, and also that one over to the right as well. So we're literally going to be using the last hook, I think almost on this side of the map completely, for this last sacrifice. As you can see here, actually looking around. Yeah, if we would have done that, I don't think we'd have been able to have the distance that we needed to. Probably could have had a potential player wiggle free and maybe make a play trying to make a hatch play. So really good map awareness by the Lonely Moth there, and really strong performance coming out with a Bubba. We had talked about how this map allows a lot of killers to shine and have a chance, but I definitely was not expecting to see a Bubba come out here.
I think I never expect Bubba, so every time Bubba comes out, I'm like, okay, I'm surprised. But then the pick always makes sense. Like, it always makes sense whenever I see people bring Bubba. So I'm like, yeah, okay, works.
Right.
Out.
And and again, like definitely a really strong way to start off here. Now on the kill, because now you're gonna be going to the back-to-back survivor sides here for Monarchy, right? And so now with a little, with yourself with a nice bit of a lead, if you can come out in trial number 2, you can really put the pressure on the killer and maybe even make them feel like they, put them into like a little bit of a dilemma heading into trial 3. Do I go with who I was planning to bring in trial 3, or do I need to switch to like an S or an A tier in order to bring home the dub, right?
Yeah. I think we kind of have, I mean, a little bit of a pace set here. We've got a large lead in Monarchy's favor. So I think that kind of does set how Entity has to respond, knowing they're going into back-to-back killer matches against Monarchy, who has proven to be a good survivor squad. Um, so again, like I said, it's this pace has been set. And now it's kind of, we see who very clearly is going to be playing offense and who's going to be playing defense.
Yeah, and we do see that we have a invite coming in here. So let me switch on over. Let me get into the killer role here, and then I'll untab out so you'll stop freezing again. There we go. Perfect, perfect. But yeah, so you're looking at a 25 to 9 heading into your second trial. And if you can come out, and even if you just, I feel like even if you just get all you have to really do is like get one escape, and you're already setting yourself into a good lead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Monarchy here having enough of a buffer zone where they can really kind of do, like, it's very hard for them to lose this lead. However, if you've been with us this entire season, you do know that the killers can actually gain more points than the survivors are capable of earning in a trial.
True. So that does mean that now, at least for Entity's favor, you are heading into the side. Oh, I should probably invite Keeperly at this point. Lol. First day, chat. First day.
We're just getting back into it.
I'm gonna be interested though. Do you feel like Entity, knowing that do you think that they were already kind of planning to bring out some big guns on the killer side? One, knowing that it's Monarchy, and two, since you are on a map like ARP where some of those S tiers can kind of shine a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know, it's a toss up, as somebody who's been in that like seat of having to make a decision of what you play. It can go one of two ways. It's okay, do we, like, going against a really strong team, do we bring out an S tier and hope that our S tier is better than the S tiers they have been practicing against? Or do we conserve our S tiers for other teams that are a challenge but not as challenging, and try to bring out other killers that we are still strong on but would not be a waste here if we don't do well? So it's kind of like, do they go balls to the wall and hope that what they've got is better than what Monarchy has been seeing? Or do they play it as safe as possible to set themselves up for success later in the season? However, there's not much later in the season. We are almost to our halfway point.
Yeah, what's interesting is I'm looking at Entity's killer selection thus far, and they do have a lot that's available on the table. They have all of none of their S tiers have even been used yet for Entity, which is interesting. I do see it looks like maybe they've been coming with some more off meta. I mean, I see they've used Cenobite twice, so we will not be seeing that, sadly. But maybe still seeing them do something off meta, as in something newer. Maybe seeing them bring out some Nemesis here could be kind of, I feel like Nemesis could be good because you can get some little bit of extra info, obviously, as far as with the zombies, and then Nemesis can put you in some lose-lose situations once you kind of get to that tier or your infection level 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nemesis is a pretty safe pick for this map, actually, especially because you have that choke point in the middle. If you get lucky with your zombie spawns, it's going to be a really dangerous area.
Yeah, I'll be I don't know, I'll be interested here because we also see, I think, for Entity, even killers like, oh no, the Huntress has been, but there's a lot of still other killers that like they haven't even used once. So I'll be interested to see again what they go with. They have all their S tiers available. It's week 5. If there was a time to bring out S tiers, I mean, Monarchy would be the team to bring them out against.
Yeah, definitely. I think Monarchy, but again, you come into that situation of, have they been playing against?
True.
Really good, because we did see earlier in our season a Blight was brought out against Arctic Wolves, and knowing that Arctic Wolves has a really good Blight on their team, bringing out Blight proved to not be the play because they knew how to deal with a Blight. And I mean, it wasn't like a like optimal map for Blight, but still it kind of was like oh, you kind of have to be careful what you choose to bring. If you know what your enemy kind of like has to offer their survivors to play against, it could be really dangerous to bring an S tier because they're going to know how to play against it.
So what you're saying then is like you should bring in a Susie here.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yes. Susie or Riot.
I mean, honestly though, her powers, I mean, will at least give you some decent map information to let you know where to focus your power on. I don't think I wish we had. I am waiting for more Susie play for sure. I don't think we get it here, sadly.
I don't think we get it here. However, this isn't a terrible map for this. Of the Azerov's maps, I actually don't mind. This is the one map where I don't really mind having Legion. The other ones are a little too large for comfort. But I mean, this is a little bit of the Azerov's. I think this is one of the smaller ones, or at least like the dog bone shape kind of helps out with that power. And I know I sound like a broken record because I talk about Legion a lot, but information is really important. You know, one of the things that makes Plague really powerful is not only does her power allow you to put pressure in places that you are not, but it gives you also a lot of information early in the game, because you'll see when those survivors move from the healthy state to the infected state just by touching something that so if you only puke on one side of the map and then go patrol the other, and someone gets sickened, someone is over there. So information is certainly very, very important in this game. It's not the most important thing, but I think we discredit it a little bit, how important information is to our killers. And information denial on the survivor side.
Yeah, that's true. I would be interested to see also on a map like this. I wouldn't mind seeing a twins come out, but that's just because I really like watching, like as like twins can. I know like twins can kind of be like that methodically slow like end game, but sometimes I feel like if you have a good twins, it really allows you to test the survivor squad's communication, because sometimes it's just about waiting for them to make a mistake and then capitalizing the twin, right?
Yeah, I think twins is a high risk, high reward. Because if you can't use Victor well, or if you can't like attach Victor well to the survivors, that pretty much takes away your entire power, and you reduce Charlotte to an M1 if those survivors can just bully Victor. So you definitely need to be on top of your pounces.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like we've definitely seen twins becoming more and more commonly used, I would say, especially in the competitive scene. I would say more so, particularly like in the EU scene, and we're seeing it slowly more so move into like the NA scene. But I'll be interested as more people really get the grasp. I feel like she's a killer that should, for most people, be consistently in like that first three after the top three tier list blind, right?
I definitely agree with you. On that.
But let's go ahead and talk about how Entity's going to go ahead and be, or not Entity, Monarchy's going to be putting up points on the survivor side.
All right, guys, let's talk about it. So how do our survivors make up those points or gain more points? Well, obviously, generators are pretty important. You get a couple points for each of those. You get more for that last generator popping. You get the most at 3 points for that 5th generator. However, what's actually important is going to be those escapes. So your first escape is worth 1 point, and the second is 2 points. But the third escape is 4 points, and that fourth escape, a whopping 6 points. So you want to make sure, if you can, 4 out that killer. Also, you get bonus points for escaping with extra hook states. So if you only get hooked once, you're Gucci, baby. You can still get that extra point by getting out. There are 26 points available for our survivors to earn. And if you want more on the rules, type !rules in chat.
All right, let's get down to it. We do have everyone ready to go. I was even able to tab out to get the transition to go smooth, baby. Let's get it. All right, and exciting. We have got us a nurse coming out here. We talked about the potential of Entity. Oh, gets done, stupid. Plus 10 wood to the face. now going to be able to build a little bit of distance here as well, working along the backside of the shack, meaning he can play a little bit of a 50-50 here, actually causing our nurse to go ahead and do the one blink. Nice little body burn as well
Oh,
to be
the
able to build some extra
fatigue,
distance. Really
yeah.
good play here. However, you're still going to take the M1, but it took a little while, which means that the rest of our survivor squad right now for Monarchy should be able to get to the other side of the map, but you'll see actually a very unfortunate split corrupt here as well.
Yeah, that is definitely a very unkind corrupt for our nurse here, blinking around, missing that swing because of a very nicely timed dead hard.
And we are seeing now this chase, the longer it goes, we've already had one gen popping across the way, but now it's going to be about our survivors spreading that pressure as far as the objective here as well, because our survivors will notice as they get off the gens, there are going to be those sparks coming off those gens. They're from that ruin. And, you know, it's going to be interesting here because we always see when ruin comes out. Sometimes ruin lasts for 4 to 5 minutes, and sometimes it lasts 45 seconds. That's 2 gens done already, though. So our survivor's doing a really good job of outpushing this pressure.
Well, and as we've also seen before, we've seen Ruin last an entire game, not get cleansed at all, and do absolutely nothing for the killer. So if Monarchy can put out enough pressure, Ruin's not even going to matter.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If our survivor squad can do a good job of maintaining the survivor's attention, or the killer's attention, should I say, at this point, you know, we're going to see Drew going and maybe even continuing the tunnel out process onto Rocket. No, actually, I think doing the right decision, going for Shiro, though. That's going to be a swing and the miss. And with the extra swing, that is going to be a little bit of extra time to be made up here by Nancy, thanks to the longer fatigue. One blink, so only a short fatigue, but Nancy doing the smart thing, holding Shift W, heading into the corner, and even no Pocos again for Drew. This is going to allow Nancy to break away here from the shack. There have only still been 2 generators complete, so our survivors are probably spreading that pressure, but they have now found both the ruin and the undying, and it actually looks like Drew's gonna go for a slug here as well.
Yeah, definitely going to take out that pallet there. And I think the reason they are slugging is to try to get this basement hook, which is going to be pretty important at this point if Drew wants to slow down the pace of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. I thought I had seen some scratch sparks. I thought we were going after 4. That was actually a really good move. I like that because obviously the basement makes it a little bit longer of a retrieval process to get your survivor here. But that is going to be a basement hook, and that's actually going to be retrieved really, really quick. However, you will see the broken status on Shiro. I believe that might be the deliverance there. And if that is the case, that's going to be huge because that means we have 3 survivors elsewhere across the map that are spreading that pressure still on those gens that are at this point not protected by ruin nor undying.
And a little bit of a short blink there for our nurse, which is going to be really unfortunate, allowing Nancy here to prolong this chase. And you got to think, if I'm Drew, I'm a little nervous. Can I get her down in time? And is it going to matter? Because does she have decisive strike?
Yeah,
So you're kind of in a damned if I do, damned if I don't situation here.
Yeah, definitely tough here. We're going to see a really confident blink to be able to get the down, and you're able to see it's actually Rocket off in the distance. That would be pretty big if you can at least get a change 1 health state. Actually,
Ooh.
A nice play by Drew there and able to get the hit.
Beautiful, beautiful there. Yeah, very, very patient with the blinks there, making sure you end up on the other side of the pallet. And nice waiting out for that potential DS so that they don't lose any pressure with this survivor on the ground.
Also worth noting, you know, as Drew looks around here, we can see that our survivors have done a very, very good job thus far as spreading out the pressure on the gens and the fact that there is no 3 gen setup. So Drew at this point is really forced to just kind of stay in the area and make sure that you secure the elimination, which does mean that you are unfortunately going to lose that extra point that you should have gotten if you had just been putting Shiro onto Death Hook. But at least that's less elimination points or less escape points walking out the door.
Yeah, and we will see that as that last gen pops. Do you see what I see, Q?
Yeah.
On the right side of that screen.
We're going to see that haste status, and actually we're going to see some relatively friendly doors here as well. We're going to see both doors on this side of the map. And with a killer-like the nurse, things could be getting very, very spicy, especially if you're seeing on the ground there. Oh, actually, they were able to get over here across the way without Drew noticing the lights. And actually, that's going to be all three of them walking out the door here.
Oh no! Very, very sneaky on the part of our survivors. Unfortunately, with a good, a really friendly spawn of his Noed, not going to be able to make too much use of it. Checking to see if any of the survivors were not quite at the door yet. We don't see anyone leaving, so I'm inclined to think maybe someone didn't quite make it to the door, uh,
Yeah, kind of
just yet.
interesting here because our survivors can probably assume that there's a no end because there is no way out. But you don't want to
Uh-oh.
make that assumption for sure. There's the one blink. There's the fatigue. I don't think that's going to be enough, though. We are going to see
Oh
the
no, I don't
flashlight.
think so either.
Oh, and that's going to be down. That's going to be 3 more states. How, of course, 2 of them are going to be progressions. So at least you're saving yourself those points. But that is very unfortunate because what would have been a 4-stage game with 1 progression is now going to turn into a 7-stage game with 3 progressions. And you're unfortunately giving Entity more points. The good news for you is, 1, you had a very strong trial, number 1. And 2, you still got 2 survivors, one of them being a fresh hook, giving yourself the extra points going out the front door.
Yeah, definitely. Monarchy able to starve a few points away from our killer here, but Drew able to get a fresh hook survivor with that Noad was going to be pretty big for closing this gap for Entity here. We have I think this is a little bit of a smaller difference, still a large difference, but I don't think it's insurmountable. I've definitely seen crazier happen, and we are only halfway through our set.
Yeah, agreed. I would say that, it's definitely not unsurmountable if you're looking at it as far as Entity. I think you still did a pretty good job there. I mean, you got yourself the 7 hook states all together. Again, a couple of them were progressions. Unfortunately, your 2 eliminations were both progressions, is worth noting, right? Because those, of course, are normally the ones that we talked about in that trial where you get the most points, and that extra point was taken away, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate that they were starved a couple of points there. If you guys haven't read our rules or haven't been listening to the rules, you're going to find out very quickly hook economy is super important.
And in case we had anybody that came in there and saw that we were on Azerovs and were wondering kind of what we are, maybe they didn't know what map on as far as on Azerovs we're on, as far as the wrecking place, the Wrecker's Yards realm. Let's go ahead and talk about what map we're on specifically today.
Let's talk about our map, you guys. We are on Azerov's resting place, one of our Autohaven Wrecker maps. Not a very large map and an interesting shape with a 7 hook minimum and a 12 hook maximum. We did see in our first game, you gotta be kind of careful with those hooks because of this dog bone shape. If you aren't economic with your hook usage, you could end up in a pretty sticky situation.
Yeah, we have seen even actually, what was it, the first trial, where had the killer made the mistake of bringing the 3rd survivor over to where the 4th survivor was slugged, there wouldn't have been the economy left for you to be able to get what you needed, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If Moth hadn't been careful there, um, it could have been a pretty sticky situation for him because there were really no other hooks. I don't think he would have been able to make it to a hook, which just gives the survivor a chance to escape. So we wouldn't have seen such a large point gap. So you do have to be careful of your hook economy, both in which survivor is on which hook stage and which hooks you are using, especially on these smaller maps that have a limited hook use. I think like the max amount of hooks I've ever seen possible is maybe 14 on one of our larger comp maps. But I think it's usually about 13.
I was gonna say,
I think it's
I was
13.
trying to think of what map would have 4. I think 13, but yeah, even still 13, 14 is a lot. And the other thing that keep in mind too, sometimes you talked about keeping an eye out for like where elimination hooks are coming in at, right? Because sometimes your first elimination hook, it might not be by gens, but then it ends up being by a door, and then endgame gets a little hairy once you realize what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit sus. And you guys, while we are waiting to reset our lobby, we went over our map video. So I also want to touch on something else we talked about in the beginning of our stream. If you guys haven't noticed yet, we have a new feature down below on our Discord channel. It is our suggestion box. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask the teams, or a specific player, go ahead and drop those questions below in our suggestion box, and we might get a chance to read your questions on stream. So if there are any questions that you just have a burning desire to know the answer to, that comes up over the course of our matches, please feel free to let us know what you want to know.
And it's going to be interesting. Wait, where did all my people go?
Oh. Wow, I love that. I forgot that my camera freezes whenever you're in the game, and that was a lovely phase for that to freeze on.
That's weird because I can see Keeperly right now, but I don't see Leotril, and Leotril should be at least getting me linked up with our killer. So while we take an extra second there, we did see Entity bring out the first of their S tier picks there with the nurse. Maybe not quite the result you were looking for. Do you go with back-to-back S tiers in week 5?
Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still a little sick. I think it really depends on what Entity is looking at for the rest of their season. This is a really tough decision. They are kind of seeing what the conditions are going to be and what they need to maybe be able to pull ahead and win this game in their third and fourth matches. They're definitely going to need both third and fourth matches, I think, to win this. So again, I think it comes down to, are you confident enough in your S tiers going against one of the top seeded teams that they are not going to just know how to make a fool out of you with whatever you bring?
Yeah, and I mean, do keep in mind, of course, we are doing, we are talking about, we're in the white ward here, and this is our mangled division. So they are going to be facing off again later in the season. I think it's week 9. Yeah, week 9 they'll play again. Of course, Monarchy will be the home team at that point, and we will be at Father Campbell's chapel. But today we are on Azerov's resting place here, and knowing that the next time that you see Monarchy, again, your conference, I mean, they're your conference leader, they're the division leader as well, or division leader, conference leader, they lead everything, right? Like, I feel like the back-to-back S tiers here makes sense, right?
Absolutely. I think it's a safe choice. I think it could be a safe choice if you are confident in your picks.
Yeah.
Definitely, though, I think an expected choice. You have to. I mean, I think at this point, Monarchies, they're pretty smart. I think they're going to understand where they sit, ranking wise, compared to the other teams in their division and in their league and in their conference. So I think they would expect, with the position that they're in, that someone would probably bring double S tiers against them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were practicing against that as well. So again, that's what I mean by, like, you have that risk assessment there of,
right,
am I confident?
So here would be a question that I do have for you. Because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it, and I can't help but notice one thing looking over the screenshot that has all of our killer usages so far. I think it's pretty well known that even after the nerf, or after the spirit nerf, like, she's still kind of seen as like the third strongest killer, right? But her usages are down considerably compared to Blight, Nurse. I mean, really, even some of our like A tier killers as well. It's kind of interesting to see. Do you think it's because spirit killers are trying to get more time to figure out how to avoid her counterplay, or do you think it's just because teams are really moving spirit that far down in their like tier list.
You know, as somebody who actually doesn't think that Spirit is an S tier anymore, I've heard a lot of pushback against that idea. So I don't think it's that people don't consider her an S tier anymore. I think it's that you know, it might just be because those changes came, like, I think either right before our season started or at the beginning of our season. I think it's just people having to relearn how she works.
Yeah. I mean, I can even say from like, oh, I don't know. I guess like from what I have seen wise, even like when we talk about DBE, and I think the last DBD League event, like the off-season event, was after the Spirit change. And it just seems that most comp teams seem to be avoiding the Spirit pick. That's why I was just kind of curious to kind of get your opinion on why that was.
Yeah, again, like I said, I actually don't think Spirit is very top tier anymore because of her nerf and changes, and because I mean she does have a lot of restrictions as it is in our league, as well as in other leagues. But every time I say that, I get a lot of pushback. So I don't know. I feel like people feel some sort of way about Spirit and her changes.
I mean, I feel like she's still definitely strong. I don't think when people are saying that she's not S tier, I don't think people are saying that she's all of a sudden become C tier mine, right?
No, I definitely think she's still like a high tier killer. I just don't think she's S tier anymore. And I think people are trying to figure out, well, does anything fill that gap? What's going to be strong in comp? And we have seen killers that are not considered very strong in pubs, which are definitely not killer friendly by any means. You kind of have a little more wiggle room with what's actually good, what's actually considered good in comp, because a lot of people don't consider twins very good, or at least a lot of people don't like playing twins because they don't think it's very fun. But in comp, twins are actually very strong, and I actually think they're a contender to potentially take that third slot from Spirit, depending on how things go with her.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like as more people have learned twins, I think I'm very confident saying that I feel like we've seen her consistently moving up in the overall comp tier list, just in the sense of, sure, some people always had her high, but you know, other people didn't, right? And as more people seem to learn the twins and get that figured out, they seem to be putting out more strong performances. I would have to get with our stats team in the background because I'm kind of interested to see how Cenobite and Nemesis have been performing thus far, at least as far as
I
in
do
Vigo.
want to see stats on those guys because Cenobite always felt like a surprising pick, but as we go in, good Cenobites can do pretty damn okay. Like, they're not a bad choice. Before we get too into that conversation, however, it did happen a little bit ago, and I don't want to not acknowledge it. We do have actually a high five request.
Oh,
from
man.
Travesty on Demand. Thank you, Travis.
All right, so
Let me make sure I'm facing the right way.
You gonna count this down for me?
Oh, I've never been in charge of the high five. I think you should do it. I'm so bad at them. I need someone else to count them down.
All right, we're gonna go on 3, 2, 1. Hey, let's go. I need you to reach further.
My arms are too short. No, I had this problem yesterday. Okay, so I need to be in like the middle of my screen because I got short little arms. I guess.
See, and then that's like perfect because it's like we're actually reaching to the same spot even.
Yeah, then we're actually reaching the same spot. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to social distance, y'all. I'm a little sick. I don't want to get Q sick. I'm trying to be considerate.
But yeah, it's interesting because you talked about you know, you had mentioned Cenobite, and I even feel like too, even on Nemesis on the same, and I know maybe part of that is because I know how good some of our really strong Nemesis. Is this like a fish thing? Nemesis? Anyways.
You know, I think it depends on the base root of the word because it's like goose is geese, but moose is moose. So I think it depends on the origin of the word, of the base word.
So would that be Nemesis instead of Nemesis? The Nemesis? Nemesi?
Nemesis.
But it seems like the people who are really strong at, like on Nemesis, like one of the first ones that comes to mind is Slow. Like I feel like we've seen them putting up really strong, like even competitive Nemesis killer play, but we just haven't seen many other people bringing out Nemesis, right?
Yeah, I think we're not seeing Nemesis come out very often, but I also think a lot of our teams have not been playing on their home maps. They've been playing on
We've had a lot of
larger maps.
secondary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been having to play on a lot of our secondary maps because of McMillan's being disabled. So, you know, I think because the maps are so large, we've seen a Nemesis not do well on a bigger map, even with the help of the zombies. So I think maybe that's why we haven't seen him too much, because people aren't playing on their home maps, which are a little bit more like comp friendly in general. We've had to play on some really unorthodox maps, I think, the past couple of weeks. So it'll be nice to see if, with the move back to the McMillan Estate maps, if we will be able to maybe see Nemesis thrive a little more.
I think though, I think I've figured out why survivors don't seem to really like playing against the Nemesis so much. Do you know why that is? Because he
I
always
can think
leaves.
of a lot of reasons.
Because he always leaves you seeing stars.
All right, guys, that's it. That's our show. We're done there. And don't forget, you guys, if you have any questions for the teams, any of the players, most of them, no, that's less questions. But if you have questions for the people you are watching play today or in any game that we host, check out our suggestion box. Go ahead and drop your questions on down in there. And if we can, we'll ask your questions. You guys can get the answers you want by making us do the hard work. So,
all right. So right now you are entity. You are down by, what is that? 14. I can't really fall away from me there. 14 points. Heading into trial 3. Who would you bring out here on Azra? You know, knowing it's Azerov's resting place, you have all of your S tiers available. And actually, if you're entity, you have everyone available technically but Cenobite.
You know, that's a really tough decision here. I'm trying to think. That was my thinking phase. Yeah, I mean, Entity has a lot of options here since the only killer they have burned is Cenobite. And again, man, I really don't know. I'm so bad at the prediction game. I don't know. Who do you think you would want to see in response here?
I mean, so I feel like right now you have to come out and you are going to be trying to go for, I think there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind. One, with the 25-point deficit, I think that's 25, 24, 14-point deficit. Holy cow, math. 14-point deficit. It does mean that you are probably going to be wanting to do more like high aggressive play style, because you don't want to have as much progressions and you're losing points, right? Like you want to really make sure you're maximizing your points. So I'm thinking you want to go with something like a Blight, or I had talked about her a lot heading into the matchup, but if you can get a lot of people broken with the Plague and make them make the decision on whether they want to cleanse or not, you can really set yourself up for some good snowball as the Plague as well.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think Plague is a good option here. I don't know why I never like think of her first. I do really enjoy watching Plague games, so.
Well, I think
yeah,
part of it was because
reasonable.
she's been around for so long, and for so long she really struggled. I mean, she still tends to struggle a little bit in the early game, but like not in the way she used to, because now she is able to build more pressure in the mid game, right?
Yeah, definitely. The her item rework was really kind to her. So, but that did happen, I think, shortly before our season or at the beginning of the season. So very fair.
Yeah, the same time that that was that big mid patch that had her. Unfortunately, Deathslinger was laid to rest. Spirit, she got changed.
Yep.
I would like to see another balanced somewhat like that, just because I feel like it brought a good balance to quite a few. I obviously I think a lot of people would say that the Deathslinger changes were debatable,
The
but
Deathslinger nerf was honestly an injustice. Not even gonna.
well, I think the hard
I'm not even gonna
so
lie
I
there.
think what you did was you did take care of what was the hardest thing about playing against him and what felt like rather crummy playing against him. But then you don't help him in the place that he lacked, which was his additional map pressure, right?
Yeah. Although I do appreciate, so I know like Slinger is, I think he's our only 110 male killer. I think all of the females are 110 killers, and usually the males are the 115s. However, Slinger is our only 110 killer, which the slow speed contributes to his lack of map pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also one of the only killers who has a lore reason for that, actually. If you guys don't know me, you know that I'm really huge into the lore of DBD. And you can even see it on him. He does wear that leg brace. So he actually has a lore reason for why he is slowed down. So I think it's like, do you. I think the change is unnecessary because it's like, okay, well, if you change that, but you want to keep him viable when it comes to map pressure, you have to change one of the really cool things about him.
And then hold on, I'm gonna need you to keep posing for me for a minute while I invite Keeperly here. There we go. Yeah, and it's I don't know.
Okay, we're good.
Again, I really feel you have to go, maybe even like a hillbilly, just because a hillbilly would allow you to
Ooh, yeah, I'd like to see some Billy play. Billy's really strong.
would allow you to put some like cross map pressure, so then you're not right next to your hook, you're getting more unhooked, so you're not like getting the progressions. It does mean that you need to have some fast chases. And I mean, we've seen Entity on the Survivor side against Hillbilly on some high cook count games. So maybe their killer's just thinking, you know what? Maybe I can show these guys that we can do it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm checking some things for in on the back end here.
It's okay. I do see that we
Um,
got everyone loaded back in. I think part of it was because who was signed up as far as, or I think, I don't know. Anyways, it looks like we got everything as far
small
as
roster disputes. Small roster
yeah.
disputes.
So it looks like we've got that address here going on. It's gonna be interesting though because you had mentioned it after trial 2. 14 points. Oh, I'm got you lagging all over the place. I'm sorry. 14 points. It isn't insurmountable, right? But you do need to come out here in trial number 3, and you have to have a very strong performance. Hopefully, them changing their killer here kind of last minute isn't going to throw a wrench into things for them as far as that goes. But I'm gonna be really interested to see their strategy here again, just because so much is they have so many options here.
Yeah, I've definitely seen teams bring it back with really stellar performances in one game to a small point difference. And since this is only trial 3 that we are going into, if Entity can manage to pull off a big point gap closure, then it will be a little bit easier for them going into their final Survivor trial.
So, as far as on the Survivor side here, do you think, knowing that on the Survivor side, you kind of want to put some pressure, do you think that the killer's going to feel pressure to stack a lot of hooks early? Do you think we see our survivors here come out and do like a stealth out of the corrupt?
You know, I think our killer is going to want to start getting those hooks really early. But if we've learned anything, the most important generators are those last 2 gens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as they can build up the pressure before they get to that last 2 generator point. And I mean, Monarchy has already shown that unless they're forced to, they're not going to 3 gen themselves. So, our killer's going to want to really make sure they keep an eye on how that how the generators are being done as well.
Does look like we do indeed have our 4 bloody blueprints, our cut coins. Let's talk
Sweet.
about some of our ban rules as far as what we've got going on here at Vigo's Courts in case we have anybody that's unfamiliar.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it, you guys. All right. So we do have some things that are not allowed in Vigo's court. Surprise, surprise. Yellow items and add-ons are the only thing allowed. You can only have one of each perk and item except for duplicate BT. Go ahead. You can save your friends safely. We'll allow that. However, we have a list of banned perks. Build to last, prove thyself starstruck, not allowed. Haunted ground, lethal pursuer, boons, and clairvoyance, also not allowed. You will also not see the perks from the new killer or survivor here. Killer uses are limited to twice a season. Don't worry, we also have limits for our survivors. They can only have one of each character in the match. So sorry for Dwight's One Locker. I fought for you, but they won't let me. Violations are subject to penalties. For more on our rules, make sure you type !rules in chat.
All right, and we are already into it. So let's go ahead and slide into game number 3. We've got Drew coming out for Entity on the Wraith. An interesting pick here. I do like the Wraith's ability, obviously, with the extra speed, does allow you to traverse the map a little bit easier. Also have the ability as far as while you're doing that, you can get some faster movement. Maybe as far as worry about getting rid of some of those resources around the map here as well, but worth noting as we come over here to Shack and we push Keeperly off of that generator, there are no sparks, which means that we do not have to worry about any sort of ruin protecting those gens. So really Drew needing to get those downs to really start pressure.
Absolutely, and we do see smart on Drew to wait for the pallet drop before uncloaking so that he can get that quick kick on the pallet.
Yeah, I really like that, the kind of benefit you get there from your add-on combo. Of course, also being able to come out of cloak there as well, which we do see being able to be big value for Drew right there. You remove the resource, you also get the M1 as well onto Keeperly. But now Keeperly is going to be coming back across towards the Shack area itself. Keep in mind, we have been over on this bottom side of the map for quite some time. We are going to see, unfortunately, I was going to say it was going to be a nice body block coming in, but that is going to be a hit. That's going to be outside of Shack, and there is a basement right here as well. This is tough.
Yeah, this is a bad place to go down. Unfortunate that they couldn't get that body block to extend the chase a little bit. We do see Monarchy pop a generator off on the far side of the map. And I do believe that is a deadlock we see because corrupt intervention blocks generators.
Yeah, and that's going to that's part of the reason I feel like we've been seeing a lot of people running that corrupt combo with the deadlock is because if you happen to get a early generator, kind of like we saw, you do see 4 generators blocked like we just saw, but we also, that gives Drew some information and lets you know that survivors are probably going to be moving towards this middle gen here because the middle gen is the most valuable. We do see a body block now coming in this way here as well, and now some patience being shown here. And is that a flashlight as well?
Ooh, that is a flashlight there. Not quite getting the body burn on the Wraith there. But again, Drew being very patient, waiting for these pallet drops so he doesn't have to waste time coming in and out of cloak to get rid of those, resources there.
Now at this point though, Drew was able to make the play to avoid the body block, but actually allowed our survivor to make the vault into the actual Shack area itself here. And now it's making this chase get prolonged, which is interesting because we do see at this point about 8 seconds left on that deadlock here from that gen popping. And, at this point, I think Drew should probably make sure they're trying to find Keeperly here or try to get over to the top side of the map towards this 3 gen and start playing some defense.
Yeah, definitely looks like Drew is going to be moving to play a little bit more defensively on the side, knowing that a 3 gen is going to be massive for him if he can't build up the pressure he needs in this early game area.
And we do see, I believe that was actually a life play, I think that might have came out there from G-Eazy, was able to build a little bit of distance if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm going to be on this top side of this map. Keep in mind, we haven't really taken chase over on this portion, so if Drew does take chase here, you are going to be prolonging chases because you're going to have more resources that are allowed to be thrown here. but that also means you're going to be depleting the map more so in its entirety of its resources because you've removed a lot on the other side, maybe setting yourself up for a little bit of snowball potential in the late part of the mid game or even the late game itself, but you still need to secure it down relatively quick here if you're Drew.
Yeah, definitely want to be getting these downs a little quicker than we're seeing them done. We're entering that critical range where we only have 2 generators left on the map.
It is
And
worth
one of them is deadlocked all the way on the other side.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that the one that is furthest along is the one that's out of the 3-gen spread. But you will notice here on the right side of Drew, where there is a decent amount of progress on that gen, maybe getting a little bit closer, if not just past 25%. So a little bit of a nice start, nice vault there through the middle window there as far as on Fun Bus. This makes this a very strong loop. Drew really, I was going to say, needs to remove this pallet here and might even consider breaking Chase and trying to put some pressure on some other gens. Because with the deadlock being across the way, and instead actually Rocket makes it easy.
Yeah, Rocket going down. I guess in the corner of the bus, realizing he probably can't take that window for very much longer. So he's bought the time that his team needs, but he will unfortunately get hooked by this generator. And it looks like Monarchy was careful and they managed to break that 3-gen. Rocket doing a good job of keeping Wraith stuck to one side of the map.
Yeah, that was actually a really smart move, honestly, by Monarchy there to take the time. They were probably doubled up on that gen across the way if I had to guess, which allowed them to get it done relatively quick with that prolonged run at the Fun Bus. Oh, nice patience there. Wait, did they hit the ace?
I think he accidentally hit Ace's hitbox there. We're going to see our killer try to count out the borrowed time save if borrowed time has been applied to our survivor here, which I don't understand why they would send someone without it to go with the unhook.
Yeah, and actually a really smart move there because we had also saw that they had that broken effect even though they had gets done stupid plus 10 wood to the face because of course that would have meant if they were able to build distance they would have gotten the heal after the 15 seconds. But it is worth noting, you see on the right side of the screen there, we do have that haste status also over here on this side of the map. We did have that no way out procs. We do see the survivor has noticed the glowy totem there. That is going to be Keeperly, which is relatively big here. You're on the far side of the map right now.
Yeah, definitely. Not the best no-head spawn. Luckily, that no way out gave our Wraith a pretty good heads up as to what was going on, and now we get to hook Keeperly right by our no-head and a door.
Yeah, this is pretty tough. Like, I feel like a lot of people watching might wonder why you wouldn't push away from that corner to get some extra pressure while you do have no-head up, and maybe we'll be able to see that here on Rocket. But the last 2 survivors are probably across. Never mind. We're going to see the life play coming in here. And unfortunately, the life play isn't going to buy you the distance that you needed. And now you might actually be giving Entity the points that they need right now.
Yeah, pretty dangerous. They know exactly where Noed is out in the open. But again, you are just giving Drew the chance here. I mean, No Way Out's got to be down by now. You are just giving Drew the chance here to, instead of just trying to leave your hook teammate and get out, giving them the chance to get more downs, especially with no head still up.
Yeah, and we do see some scratch marks up along the way there, along that wall. I'm not sure if that's heading towards the hook or away from the hook, but we do see as that last hook comes in there, we're actually got a nice little hook for Shiro right there. And that is going to be 3 states. Granted, 2 of them would be progressions if you were not. Oh, and the deliverance play!
Oh, no!
What? But why?
Not, I think maybe they thought that, Jeezy there was drawing enough attention from Drew for Shiro to be able to make that deliverance play safely. Unfortunately, didn't pull the Wraith not enough patience on the side of our survivors to make sure that deliverance play goes off flawlessly. And now we have Drew here waiting to see, does this person have deliverance or decisive strike or unbreakable?
Yeah, and I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see the decisive strike on your deliverance player. It's obviously a pretty common combo. Honestly, wouldn't even also be surprised to see the unbreakable on this player as well, especially since we haven't seen the unbreakable yet. But with the bleed out timer, makes it a little bit easier for some of your more veteran players to at least be able to keep track as far as the DS there. There's going to be the 2 survivors taking the out across the way. One of those is going to be a fresh hook, which is going to be very, very important. But the reason I had asked, in case anyone was curious, why the deliverance there, keep in mind we had talked about heading into trial number 2. If you have a progression, that's you lose a point for that. So by doing the deliverance play, you're giving them an additional hook, whereas it should have actually been a progression stage there.
Yeah, definitely just gave Drew the full points for that second hook instead of giving him 1 point for each progression, bringing this game a little bit closer than it was going into this trial.
Yeah, now we're talking about an 11-point difference here before heading into trial number 4. Unfortunately, though, that is an 11-point difference before heading into the survivor side. And as we have talked about a couple of times now, the potential for earning points is higher on the killer side. So that's really almost a little bit bigger of a lead here. So our squad for Monarchy has done a good job of kind of coming in and taking away that home field advantage for sure.
Absolutely. Monarchy has done a good job of forcing Entity to really have to play on the offensive to try to gain these points and making them play catch up the entire time. So it's going to be interesting to see what Monarchy pulls out here to keep their lead, knowing that they are moving into the killer spot.
Yeah, gonna be I'm gonna be interested here. I'm gonna back out of this lobby. I was hoping maybe I was saving them a spot, saving them a invite click by joining a little early, but unfortunately I was just a hair bit too soon. But
a little too quick on the draw there, Q.
Yeah. But it's interesting because now for Monarchy, with the pressure being off a little bit, do you think you change up any of your strategy here? Again, knowing that it's 11 points, and 11 points might not be much, but you do, of course, have the point differential between what's able to be earned on the killer side versus the survivor side. Do we see Monarchy maybe at this point bring out a lower tier killer just to kind of save some of those higher tiers for later in the season?
I think it's definitely a possibility. Again, it comes down to who is Monarchy keeping an eye on in this season of Vigos. And really, if they've decided that Entity is somebody they should be bringing an S tier out on.
Because I feel like if I'm Monarchy right now, I'm up by 11 points. And we're not even halfway through the season. Let me double check before I say this last part. You haven't used Blight. You haven't used Spirit. So Monarchy hasn't used any of your S tier killers even yet. So you're saving a lot of your like heavy hitters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're up 11, all you really need is like what? An elimination in the early game and an elimination in the end game?
Yeah, I think if they get at least 2 eliminations.
Oh no, they brought out Bubba in the first round. Never mind. They can't bring out Bubba.
I don't know if they're gonna bring Bubba again. Well, I think they need like what, 2 hooks and no, not 2 hooks. Sorry, whoa, that's how they lose. 2 eliminations, maybe a couple of extra hook states there.
Now it makes things interesting. What?
I got it, Freddy.
Freddy could be good.
I mean, we have seen him with an appropriate build be able to put out a lot of map pressure. I don't think he's the strongest choice by any means, but he's not terrible, especially if you're not looking to use a higher tier killer just yet. In the season overall, not in this game in particular, because this is our last game.
This could also be a good point for you to bring out even something like a they haven't used like Nemesis, they haven't used Cenobite. That could give you some good pressure there. Honestly, I'm looking at Monarchy's killer pool list, and they've got a lot on the table. It's actually really interesting.
I guess they've been economic about their choices, leaving themselves the widest availability they can. Seeing someone say Michael Myers. I mean, we've seen Michael Myers come up before, but he's usually like a burn pick. I think if they have a good Cenobite could be a good option.
But it's just interesting, and I think part of it's because some of it has been kind of they've been in situations like we see now, because we do see, Monarchy is one of the few ones who's played Clown thus far. They've played Doctor, although Doctor probably was a Father Campbell's Chapel pick, if I remember right, because it's a pretty good Doctor map. But they have played Hag already. They are one of the ones who has brought out Legion already. They are one of the 4 teams who has brought out the Shape already. So yeah,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I think they have. I think Monarchy has kind of been in this situation a couple times already, and I think even looking at their schedule, I think they've played quite a few of their games on the road. Yeah, this would be their 3rd road game here, so they've had quite a few opportunities to be heading into trial number 4, knowing that you only need like minimal hooks, so you can kind of go with some lesser tier killers.
Yeah, I think if they have a lower tier killer that they are confident in, that would probably be the best choice for them. Considering we are not even quite halfway through our season yet, maybe save those higher tier killers for later on when you want to make a statement. Because we kind of have seen a trend of people will start their first killer round with a stronger killer and kind of set the pace for themselves and then decide where they're going from here. And if I'm Monarchy, I'm not feeling too terrible about this lead here.
What is going to be interesting for Monarchy here, and not to jump ahead in conversations as we load into trial number 4, but in the next couple weeks, we do see their schedule gets a little spicy. They play at 6, at 6's home. Then they play at the Hooker's home. So they're going to be playing at Torment Creek, at Dead Dog. And then they play Immortal Alliance, who are really no schlubs as well, on Grim Pantry. So they're going to be going into some interesting map picks.
Is Grim Pantry one of our regular maps?
Yes.
Oh God. I feel kind of bad for them. I thought that was a Macmillan replacement map.
That was when we had Pale Rose in play. Was for Sanctum of Wrath.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, their schedule gets rather interesting as far as like they're going to be put through some tests here in the following weeks. And Monarchy is, I mean, at this point, when you look at, if we were to do like say a power rankings, I mean, them and Arctic Wolves would be like 1 and 1A right now.
I think, yeah. I think that's accurate.
And then, I mean, and maybe you even throw Demise with an S in as a 1C, and you can really move them in any direction. Of course,
yeah, I think those are
3
definitely
undefeated, but
our top 3 teams right now. I do believe we have one other undefeated team as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it just those 3?
At this point, we have just those 3. No. I am lying. We have Demise. No. Wait. 6 Monarchy, Demise, and Arctic Wolves. Yes, are the 4 undefeateds right now.
Okay. All right. So those are our 4 undefeateds. Yeah. So if Monarchy is going to have to play against any of those teams later on in their roster, 6 is next week. Ooh. They've shown they're a pretty tough team. So yeah, I think that's what they're probably going to save their stronger killers for. But we also have to consider what they might consider their stronger killers might not be what we would conventionally think of as their stronger killers. So I've seen some pretty wild things come out and do really well. So at this point, I just try to keep an open mind.
Yeah, that's true. I just like that they're at a point where there's a lot. We had talked about heading into this matchup with Azerovs that like it's a good map where it has a lot of balance for a lot of killers, and it's now you're at the point where you can you get to really kind of pick your poison here because you have a nice little lead, and a relatively obtainable win condition here.
This is gonna be interesting to see. I don't know. I have anxiety. This is the point of the game where I get anxiety. Someone's like, "Oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, man." Like anything could happen. I've seen crazier things happen in the end, in the final like match of the set. So I'm just like,
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like Monarchy can't come out too like confident because if they come out and play, if they don't have any sense of urgency in the beginning part, I mean, we can still see Entity pull this out with a very strong survivor performance. So it's not like, I mean, they can't come out with, no perk trapper and like meme by any means, right? Like you still have to
yeah,
put some points on the board here, but
yeah, they definitely they don't want to not take this too seriously, of course, but because we have seen survivors at this point do crazy things to make up those point differences, even if they don't necessarily pull out the win. We've seen some pretty intense gameplay in these fourth matches, so I'm kind of just like,
and one thing that can make some changes would be if we have any penalties. So let's talk about that.
let's talk about our penalties, guys. Yeah, so definitely we talked about our ban perks, what is and is not allowed. What happens when somebody brings something that isn't allowed? Matches with penalties can be played out, restarted, or both. Really depends on what the penalty is. A couple of examples of things that we do penalties for. You get 2 of the same survivors, a ban perk, item, or add-on. That is a -5 points and potentially a restart. I think teams can choose if they want to restart from there. The wrong map, however, is -5 points and an auto restart. Please don't harass the refs. Please don't bring people not in your roster because that is -10 points per offense. So a huge amount of points and a no restart allowed. Also a -10 points and auto restart for using an exhausted killer. For more on the rules, you guys can check !rules in chat if you want a more in-depth look at what our penalties are.
All right, you ready for this?
Am I? I don't know.
Let's
Am I?
go! We've got some
Yay!
Deathslinger!
Ooh, and this is an interesting pick considering what entity faced last week.
Yeah, I mean, I like the confidence coming out with Deathslinger. It is one of the killers that we had talked about. We had seen quite a bit changed since that little patch. When I say little, I mean ginormous.
Yeah, the big
Patch.
change.
But we are going to see. We come out. We now have a chase going on in the corrupt side of the map, and now with a nice shot through the window, this is going to be a down over here on this side of the map. This is your corrupt side of the map. You can actually get yourself a nice little bit of pressure here with a nice early down.
Absolutely, and I'm really kind of glad to see Slinger coming out again. I had been really worried about like the health of the killer after what they did to him, what they did to my beautiful boy. But if our killers have shown us anything, it's that Slinger should not be discounted, and it looks like this is going to be an early basement hook even. Ooh, but not quite. Moth a little too confident in his ability to make it down there, and he's going to actually lose that survivor. But we will see an early throw of the pallet.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate because I understand the play, right? Because anybody who has wound up in the basement against a Slinger knows just how deadly that could be. But I feel like you really gave up the pressure that like you really need in the early game as a Slinger, and that you actually achieved with the early down. Oh, but you got the hit right before the Megan was able to get the pallet down. Now you've got it down over here still at this point, but you need to make sure you don't play any more games, no more basement. Just put them up on a hook and get this game going, baby.
Yeah, I think Moth is realizing the safer bet is probably this hook outside the basement. Still not a bad point. You are in your corrupt zone, so you are going to force survivors to have to come over here. However, we do see 2 deadlocks, actually. I was like, is corrupt still up? This is weird. No, but we will see deadlock go not once, but twice as our survivors pop 2 gens.
Yeah, I think what we saw there, because actually you'll notice that one gen, I believe, is actually at like, if it's has any, it's like, I don't know, 1 or 2%. I think what we saw there was our survivor squad for Entity actually did a very good job of doing the 99 tech to get past that deadlock. So they basically had to pop right next to each other to make sure that they weren't covered up by the deadlock. That way you have two basically at 0 that are covered.
And we do see Drew here putting down the moves to avoid that harpoon. So Slinger's like, I'm going to go check on somebody else.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because we do see Lonely Moth coming back here. And
God.
unfortunately, the save is going to come in just in time. But that is going to be a hit onto the Claudette, which is going to take care of the borrowed time. That is going to be clipping the side of Shaq here. And that is going to unfortunately allow more distance to be built by Claudette. But if I'm not mistaken, I think we've already used the pallet over here earlier, right?
Yeah, definitely. This resource is now gone, so it's going to be a pretty dangerous game. Oh, I guess not this pallet.
We had used the
I
one
know
further
we've got,
back
like, 2
by the
pallets
rocks.
over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've used a different one here. So still have that resource, able to build herself a little bit of distance here, but in a kind of dangerous position. You got some pretty clear silence. Ooh, somebody coming in for a potential body block. Nope. Claudette goes right down. Oh, the fire. Sad. Oh, I thought he hit that.
Yeah, I thought they did too. That would have been pretty disgusting. We are going to see generator number 3 coming in across the way, and we did indeed do a pretty good job of continuing the tunnel out process onto Drew here. So this is going to be a smart decision. Oh no, Drew's a different survivor. That's another fresh hook. I'm sorry, but that is going to be at this point. Now you've got you still have a 3-gen over on this side of the map that is intact, but they're not covered currently, so you can't help but imagine that our survivors are probably putting pressure onto them right now.
Yeah, definitely gonna see a dry kick on this side. So now Pop goes Louisa, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, it seems that more teams are opting to go for the deadlock over the pop and either go for like a ruin undying or a like no way out sort of combo. Typically, it's kind of like the pair that couples along with the deadlock to go with also the corrupt interventions. Kind of like your most common, I'd say. But we also see a little bit of like maybe mixed up with like ruin and pop. But it seems deadlock has really kind of shifted that meta. We do see a lot of patience right now by our survivors, and I believe that was actually a deliverance at the last second by Drew, now being able to build some extra distance. And that does mean, keep in mind, we saw the one survivor. Oh, gets done, stupid.
Oh,
Plus
very
10 wood to the
waiting
face.
at that pallet.
That was a fresh survivor, though, so that would be a new survivor outside of Drew that would be taking this hook if that was the case, but that's actually going to be generator number 4 getting done. And with that 4th generator, that actually breaks up any 3-gen potential as well.
Yeah, okay, definitely going to lose any pressure we had from a potential 3-gen there with that generator popping. So now it's a game of Moth making sure he can deny a couple of escapes here and get a couple more hook points for himself.
Yeah, now we're coming back across. I don't think... Okay, maybe we do hit those. His body is facing this way. His head was looking... No, anyways, we do see, though, now taking the shot. Oh, nice shot from deep onto the Nia. This is going to be big. Unfortunately, though, with the M1 there, I do believe that should be letting our survivors know that there is indeed a Noed. And I'm looking at our scoreboard right now, and I'm kind of intrigued. So this is going to be a hook here on Nia, but that's a fresh hook. That's tough because I think you need to get that save if it would have been the fresh hook if you want to make sure you're getting the amount of escape points out of it. We might even be out of reach here at this point.
Yeah, and we definitely have pretty friendly spawn on doors for our Slinger and on his Noed. He's got that hook in the middle of the map. His Noed is right near that hook, and both doors are on this one side. So the survivors really have no need to go anywhere to go to that side of the map to see that the totem is there at all, unless they go for that unhook.
Yeah, but we do see at this point, Lonely Moth has came over to this door, has gotten one survivor down. We do see as I think that scratch marks over at the other door, but knowing that that survivor's down, I think you have to try and make a play for the save. Yep, there's actually the save right there. And now it's going to be interesting because I think those survivors, still have to pass that totem to head towards the door. Maybe you can even break the Noah to make a play here, but if you allow your killer to get too many more hooks, they might not even need to get any eliminations at that point.
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting to waste time resetting against the Noah, actually. I would think you would want to just break those bones if you've gone over there and maybe seen that there is a Noah. Ooh, another like really risky going for the far hook. Makes me anxious. I guess you don't want to hook too close to the door, but that makes me so anxious. I'm like, oh god, please just hook them.
And now, though, worth noting, the Noed was broken, and I believe, yep, we got a survivor up as well. Things can be getting spicy. And keep in mind, chat, the escapes are worth the most point. So if you can get, especially if you can get the save here, you see the survivors trying to pull the, Deathslinger far away so they can try and get a reset, but I think that now means all 3 survivors are injured, and the Deathslinger is between them, their hanging teammate, and both exit doors.
Yeah, if they can get that 4th escape, that's going to be enough points to break the to catch them up in points, because I think 12 points total for all 4 escapes. But if our slinger can confirm the kill here, that is only going to be a total of 6 points for our survivors getting out, plus any bonuses they might get for getting out with extra hook state.
The good news, though, is the points right now that are progressions, you are taking those points away from the killer. And of course, it doesn't matter if that 4th survivor that escapes, it doesn't matter if they're on death hook. It doesn't matter if they get saved with, 2 seconds left on the hook state. We do see, though, it looks like the Lonely Moth is coming back across. One shot in a dream. Things could be getting interesting here, especially because we have an injured survivor back here, though. This is going to be tough. We do see the Dead Hard here. Now going to the far side of the map. Things get interesting, though, because Leotril, I believe, is actually on death hook, right?
I think so too, and I think if we can get this elimination, this is the one we need to maybe secure this game, especially because we didn't get the progression. We're going to get a hook instead. So we will get full points for the hook onto actually second stage. Ooh.
So now you can open up your doors.
Oh, get the heck out
they're
of Dodge.
taking the 3 out. I don't think their math's right. Although I don't even know if now, if you get all 4 out, you would have needed all 4 out exactly, I think, right? Because you'd have gotten 6 for the last elimination.
I think with the hook states, I don't know if we had enough fresh hook survivors or under 1 hook or less to actually make up the points. So I think those last 2 hooks were what sealed Entity's fate here.
And that is going to be a very, very close matchup. If that score is what I'm seeing right there is correct, 58 to 64, with Monarchy just escaping by to be able to continue the undefeated season so far. But it's interesting, if it's a 6-point difference there, why don't you go for the save? Because the last escape is 6 points, plus you get 2 points for the 4 out, right? No, you just get the 6 points for the.
No, you just get the 6. You get the 6 points for the 4 out. I think what they were worried about is they were going to, especially because that hook was on the other side of the map. That's a lot of space for the slinger to just gain more hook states. So it's like, okay, well, we can risk it, but we have to be really on point with how we get people out of here. So I think that might have been Entity realizing, like, we can either make this a really big point gap and lose by even more by giving up unnecessary hook states, or we can just get out of here. I think they were realizing maybe the odds were stacked against them a little bit.
Yeah, that was pretty tough, though, because if you were able to get that Nia, I mean, you were talking about if you get that reset that you were able to locate, that would have, that would have, if you would have been able to locate the reset, or if they wouldn't have been able to locate the reset, you get the reset, it's easier. But also worth noting, right? We're talking about the 6-point difference. If you get the save, the last hook that was a progression, that was 2 points, they now have 62, and then you get the last escape. That's a 6 point. So then you're at 64 to 62. That actually could have been the win there. That's crazy.
Yeah, so if Entity had gotten the 4 out, that would have won them the game, actually.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, a really good performance from Entity against one of our top seeded teams. I think going into this, I probably knew this was going to be a tough game, and I don't think they should be disappointed in themselves or not proud of themselves for what they accomplished here.
It's worth noting though, right? Like when you talk about it came into that close. I mean, obviously, part of that is I feel like our killer kind of knew the win condition and was just gutting for it there in trial number 4. No pun intended with it being the Death Slinger. But I think that goes to show though, like that's also the risk of if you strictly aim for a win condition. I mean, we saw it almost cost Monarchy a very costly one. It would have been their first loss of the season, but it would have been a loss that was in the conference too, right? And in your division. So that would have been huge.
So, excuse me. Yeah, definitely. I definitely think, sorry. Hey guys, let's keep it maybe a little kinder in chat, by the way. I see you guys, let's not get a little heated. There's no need for that. Why my camera zoomed way in, I guess. Important message. Zoom, I suppose. But let's keep it civil in chat, you guys. We're all here to enjoy CompDBD, and if that's not what you enjoy, you probably shouldn't be here. But there's no need to degrade anyone. We are all real people who are just here to have a good time. So let's keep it civil in chat, please.
And it is going to be interesting here because we talked about the road from here, right? For Monarchy is it gets tough because now you've got 6 next week. You've got Hookers the week after. Both of those are road games. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say that they've had they just got done with the easy part of their schedule, but they're definitely going to be heading into a portion of their schedule that is going to put them to the test, I think.
Definitely, but I think we can ask at least one player from Monarchy how they feel about that. How are you doing, Domo?
I'm not doing too bad. I mean, I didn't play today. I was kind of just watching in the background because I had some schoolwork to do, but we played pretty bad. Oh, no.
I mean, do you say as far as do you feel like that as far as on the killer side, survivor side? I mean, walk us through it.
Survivor side, 100%. I mean, Moth did completely fine on his Bubba game. In the Slinger game, just like a few small spots maybe could have been improved on to get like a 2K to maybe 3K. That could have been capitalized on, but just didn't happen. But he still did pretty good, I think, for that map for Slinger. Yeah, no, it was our Survivor side. We just basically threw our hands in the air in endgame and just decided to go, yeah, we forgot how to play this game. At least that's how it felt when I was watching it. It was just confusion and the comms were just people not listening. It wasn't the best. But we'll come back next week stronger for sure. This was an off week for us if anyone has watched any of our previous games.
Is there a particular, I mean, we were kind of talking about coming up. I mean, your schedule does get, you guys kind of get into the thick of things. Is there a particular week coming up that you guys kind of have circled?
I'm not going to completely say what we're planning, but I mean, all the teams that are coming up, the undefeated teams is obviously when we're going to try to put up a really good performance against. Anybody that's, not the best record, we're going to kind of test the waters, see how they are, maybe look at the game footage, see kind of what's worked against them, how they play, that kind of thing.
I like it, breaking it down to the very little fine new details, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It may as well be prepared.
So you say that comms broke down a little bit during your Survivor game, but it didn't look like you guys were doing, too terribly. It wasn't the worst performance I've ever seen on Survivor. So I kind of want to know what your opinion is, like, or what you think a comm breakdown looks like on your guys' end. What was going on there?
Well, I mean, Wraith 9 stages. That's like an embarrassment. We're pretty embarrassed about that. We kind of like, it basically kind of devolves into yelling and then just miscommunication. Someone kind of makes mistakes like, oh, I'm going to go to 5, or but they stayed at 11 when they should have gone to 5 and just gone out the door. Like, we should have gone to 3-man out on the nurse game, but didn't happen. And then the Wraith game was, I think someone went for the save, but got hit with the no-ed and then delied off, and then still they waited out DS, which they shouldn't even delied off in the first place, or gone for the save because they were fresh hook.
Right.
There were just so many silly mistakes that happened where it should not have been 9 stages or even really any hooks at all. It was silly. No, we made a lot of mistakes Survivor side, and I mean, GG's to Entity, they played well, but yeah, we messed up really bad, honestly.
I wish my bad days in the game looked half as good as this did. So even for a bad game, you guys have definitely proven that you are a team to be keeping an eye on. Do you feel any pressure, either you personally or, you know, Monarchy as a whole? Do you feel any pressure knowing that going into almost our halfway point now, being one of the undefeated teams, do you feel like you might have a target on your back at all, or that you need to watch out about what people might be bringing out against you?
I mean, it can be a good and bad thing. I feel like some teams are like, do we want to waste an S tier killer? And other teams are like, well, if we feel like we have a shot, let's bring in both S tiers and get the win, depending on what their record is and if they need a win in that week particularly. So I feel like it's a good and bad thing, but honestly, we're chilling. We're going to go ahead and just play as we normally do, and we can only control what we do, right? So we're prepared for anything. But yeah, on certain maps, it is more likely to see certain killers. Like you can expect, a Bubba on this map a bit more, just because, you get someone in a 3-gen on one side, you can kind of like camp it out and it makes it much harder for them. So there's more likelihood of some killers on some maps you can prepare for. But we won't really change our strategies too much. We're just going to play how we play.
Very good, very good. Do you have anything, Q, to ask about? I do actually have a question from our suggestion box.
I was gonna say I'm just I've been really just enjoying watching you guys play. I think more so just because I like the fact that I never know what killers you guys are coming out with, because you guys have been so far staying away from the A and the S tiers, which I think also makes us kind of feel that much more excited about when we do get to see the S tiers come out from you guys. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, those will be really fun games. I imagine the teams that we bring the S tiers against will also bring S tiers against us. So those will be the S tier days, and it'll be really fun to see how it all progresses. Because those are the teams that aren't teams, the killers we get the most practice against, and we're most comfortable going against, honestly.
And that was kind of like what I was talking about, Q, when we were talking about killers, because some of these crazy teams are like, well, we're just going to practice against S tiers all day, and then it's easy no matter what. Like, all right.
It is.
All right, crazy.
The Wraith should not have happened with 9 stages. I have no idea what happened there. That was just, like, dumb stuff. But, I guess it kind of worked today because we were off. But, yeah, it wouldn't happen any other time. Normally, a Wraith would get, maybe 3 stages, 4 stages on the map.
Yeah, that's very fair. And I did have a question from our suggestion box. This was just a general question, I think, for whichever team we got to interview. But somebody, I think it was Sapphire, was asking, "Where's Piggy?" I think someone was wanting to see a Piggy on this map. What do you think about that, suggestion here?
If we didn't mess up, we would have brought out some meme killer. I think we had something to do with.
Oh, we lost you there, love.
That's what he thinks.
Oh, whoops.
No,
Push to talk. They changed it. I had. Okay, never mind. If we had something going with Entity, that if we were far enough ahead, we were gonna bring out a trapper, and there's gonna be a trapper 1v1 at Shack at the end of the game.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
But didn't happen because we choked. But Piggy would have been fun to see. Honestly, she's a fun killer, but very easily beaten. Yeah. Piggy, boop the snoot. Boop the snoot, everybody in pubs.
Boop the snoot, yeah. You better boop the snoot. And if you're a Piggy killer who doesn't let people boop the snoot, shame on you. Honestly, shame.
I boop the snoot and then I down them anyways.
It's like the middle ground. It's like, well, I see what you're trying to do, so I'm going to let you have that, but that's all you get. Like, this is not a get out of jail free card.
Exactly. You can get your happiness dose there, but you're not going to get it from leaving,
True
Do you
though.
have anything you'd like to say to the fans of Monarchy or the fans of Vigos?
Today
Or
was an
the
off
entity?
day. Yeah, no, Entity, honestly, GG's. It's gonna be fun to face you guys in a few weeks. Hopefully we are, feeling better on that day, and then you guys have done. Honestly, you guys made a lot of progress. You guys are doing really good, and you're gonna get there. And we're gonna come back next week stronger. I think, who do we face next week? I forget right now.
Next week,
But
six.
Six. All right, that's gonna be a fun game. Be there for it. I'm not sure when that is yet, but it's gonna be a strong game, and we're gonna have fun with that. Yeah. Have a good day, everyone.
Yeah,
All
thank you
right,
so much for
Domo.
your time. Have a wonderful day, Domo.
You guys as well. Thanks.
All right, you guys. And so that is going to be our match for today. And it does look like Monarchy will be convicted of murder. If you guys were keeping an eye on our social media and saw some of our schedules through there, I do actually have some news. It does look like let me see.
It looks like our 6 o'clock for today is canceled, correct?
There we go. Yeah, so our 6 o'clock game for today will be canceled due to some rostering issues. So sorry if you guys are looking forward to that game. However, we will be back at 9 p.m. EST for Hex Girls versus Sample Text. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here, a little bit longer than we normally do, but we will be back tonight. So make sure you guys come back here. If you're not following us, follow us. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but make sure you follow us on Twitch. If you're here, you should be. Also, follow us on our social media if you want to see updates to when games are going to be happening, if you want to see our schedule for the week. Also, things like, we are going to have YouTube shorts rolling out. We actually started doing those. We're going to have awards posted on our social medias, on our Facebook and our Instagram and our Twitter. So if you want information on what's going on in Vigo's court, make sure you check out our social media.
All right, I love it. And I do believe that otherwise that should be wrapping things up for us as far as the 6 o'clock. That was fun. Wouldn't you say? I had a blast. That was a blast.
Yeah, that was actually a really good game to watch. And again, Entity, you guys have been working really hard this season, and it's definitely showing. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do with the later half of the season. Really good game from you guys. Also, even though Domo was saying Monarchy didn't play well, really good game from Monarchy. So I really appreciate all the effort you guys are putting into making the season a fun one to not just participate in, but get to watch.
Facts. And chat, since we don't have the 6 o'clock game, we are going to be rating off. So I just want to remind y'all, this is where you guys can help us out as far as a DBD organization. Let's go to the this next channel. Let's all say hi. Let's all be pleasant. Let's say what's up. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody know that the competitive DVD scene is filled with a bunch of amazing people. And we will catch you guys back here at 9 o'clock. If we don't catch you tonight, we have a full slate tomorrow too. So keep an eye out on the Discord until we catch y'all back over here, man. Don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love harder. That's Shep right there. I'm Q. Peace.
Bye, guys. Be safe. We love you.